So the very lyric that is so important for me, I totally screwed up and you didn't hear it. So I will get to it when I do the talk. So here's the title of my talk. What if it was today? Win, what do you think that talks about? What do you think that talks about? What if it was today? Thoughts? The end, the beginning. Okay, that's good. What do you think? Being present. Okay, good. Corrine, what do you think? What if it was today? What? That you started something new. How's that sound? Okay, Eric, what do you think? You're usually thinking ahead. What do you think it means? What if it was today? Yes. It's always the present moment. Okay. Yes. Okay. Best day of your life. What if it was today? What if today was the best day of your life? That's a good one. No. Uh, no, but that is good. Tiffany, what do you think? She said death. Meaning, what if it was today? What if today was your last day? Is that where you went? What if it was today that you were going to die?
I said that last night.
I know you did. I'm trying not to give her any help. Did you think the same thing? What if it was today, death? Oh, how about that? The death of the limiting beliefs. Sounds like a song. Okay, well, let's see what it's about, shall we? Next slide. Most people believe they would have done things differently in the past. Psychology Today. So I'd like you to take a moment here and think about your past. Think about what you've done in the past. I was researching this talk, knowing what I wanted to talk about, and that what I wanted to talk about was kind of ethereal. But the more I got into it, the deeper it hit me and touched me and got to me, which made it even more ethereal. But this quote came up. Most people believe they would have done things differently in the past. And I immediately took my life and I started looking at it and thinking of all the things I did in the past. What might I have done differently? And I thought about this moment, I was sharing this last night, where the first time I fell in love, really fell in love, and I was with this person for 8, 9 years. But it was a tumultuous relationship. Anybody have any of those? Like tumultuous relationship with a very kind of abusive person that I didn't notice because I was 20 when I started. So I didn't really get what was going on a lot of the time. I just thought it was me or something was going on. And the one about around 27, when I really figured out some things, one more thing happened and I lost it. He had left, and I went into the closet, took all of his clothes, brought it and threw it right out the window to the floor, and let it land on the street. Everything that he owned, out, just piece by piece, out. And then when he came back, the chain was on the door. I was like, nope, you're done. You're out of here. You're out of no, you're not coming back. That's it. Of course, then it took about 5 more times of that type of behavior. But I thought about it when I'm working on this talk, and I was like, would I do that differently now? Would I still behave that way? Would I do it differently now with what I knew? I love that one of you just said yes. No, but here's what I realized. When I was 6 years old, my mother was in her sister's wedding. And so we drove down to downtown Philadelphia, parked in front of their house right across from the Franklin Institute, and it was a 4-story brownstone back then, still is. And we're outside, my dad's got his Packard. Anybody remember the Packards? Those big Packard cars? And I'm sitting all the way in the back seat right by the window looking up at the house. My older brother's here, my dad's in the front seat. And all of a sudden, dresses and petticoats and high heels come streaming out of the top floor bedroom, out onto the car and into the street. And I'm like, Dad, and he goes, stay in the car. and all this stuff's flying. And then my mother finally comes running out the door, and she gets in the car. She goes, "Drive away, Tom. The wedding's off." And I'm like, we're in the back seat, and my brother, and I'm like, "What happened?" And my brother in the back seat is like, "Who cares?" But I was really interested in the petticoats and the wedding dress, everything that went flying out the door. I was like, "How does this happen? How does this happen?" And they didn't know. Anyway, I thought about that, and I went, oh, I picked up that behavior at 6, that was the appropriate thing to do when someone pisses you off. Throw their things out the window. I didn't figure this out till this week when I was putting this talk together. I was like, it's my mother's fault. Perfect. But I looked at this. Most people believe they've done things differently in the past. Yeah, but would I have? Could I have? Because I picked up a belief, and that belief fueled me until another belief changed it. So, this next question is for you. Go ahead, Swan. What would you have held on to? What have you held on to that you feel you would have done differently if it were today? So I just want you to think about this for a minute. I'm not making you go talk to each other. What have you held on to? Something that you maybe have held on to, Liz, because you look confused. Yeah, something you've held on to from the past that if you actually did it today, you believe you would have done it differently. And I don't need an answer. But last night, they all did pods about it. And when they came back, this woman said, I would not have married any of the 4 men I married. Right? And then this other woman said, she said right away, she goes, I would not have married my first husband. Now, she was sitting next to the second husband. And I said, and the second husband? He just looked at her. She went, no, we're good. Yeah. But those things came up for people. I would not have, boom, 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 done this. I would not have done that. Or I would have done it differently. So just for yourself, just think, what in the past would you have maybe done differently? This morning, as I was going over my notes for today again, because it always gets different the second time if I do it on Saturday night, I thought about another thing something I would have done. You know what? I wished I had done it differently. When I was up for a very big role, the starring role in a new Broadway show in a revival, and it was mine. I was given it. I was already starting to rehearse. And I look back and I think, I was so arrogant. I had such a high ego, which was a camouflage for the low self-esteem that I grew up with as a gay man, that I didn't put the time or the energy into respecting that part enough to show them why they wanted me. And I lost the part. In the last second, the director switched his mind and went to someone else. And I always blamed the director. I always blamed theater and the way they do things and blah, blah, blah. It wasn't. I look back and I think, if I'd have just put a little oomph into it, if I'd have just worked harder to show them what an amazing tap dancer I was, what a really talented actor I was, but I just kind of like flubbed it off. I was like, yeah, okay, I can do that, yeah. So I looked back there and I thought to myself, what I know today, would I do it differently if it were today? What if it was today and that happened? What would I do? And the answer is very easy for most of us to say, I'd have done it differently. Now, with what I know, I'd have done it differently. But I'm here to say there's a possibility you wouldn't. Because whatever that core belief was back here that caused you to do it that way could very possibly still be present today. And when the same circumstances showed up, you may default to that same core belief. And that's what I want to talk about today. I want to provoke you into looking deeply into who you are today, what's there, why are you behaving the way you do, what are the core beliefs that are still active that you may not even pay attention to. Next slide, Swan. So, the illusion of moral certainty. So I was doing research on this for another project, and it suddenly hit me how important it is for this talk. Moral certainty. How many of you believe that you are very clear on what is right and what is wrong? Most of us will say, I know what's right and what is wrong. Now, if I add 2 words after that, for me, it may get a little fuzzier. What's right and wrong for me? But the problem is, we don't normally say what's right and wrong for me and even contemplate a different answer. It's this is right and wrong, and that's how I live, period. Whereas if we really say what's right for me without the wrong, you might get a different answer. You might have a different answer. And so what he calls it is the illusion of moral certainty. And most of us live under the umbrella of a certainty that we're living by. That's why some people stay in marriages that don't work, because they've been taught and believe, my aunt and uncle, they should have been divorced before they got married. But it was just a tumultuous relationship. He treated her terribly. She had and your aunt and uncle too, same thing. Just a marriage that just did not work. But the illusion of moral certainty. I understand. Marriage is forever. That's it. You said yes, it's yes forever. There are still things inside of each of us that we live from that is part of this moral certainty that we need to understand is an illusion, and start asking ourselves deeper, bigger, richer questions. Like, well, if that's not the case, how could I live now? What choice will I make now? If it's today, and I get to choose all over again, no matter what it is, take all of your ifs, ands, and buts, and yeah buts, throw them out the window and say, today, if it's all going to happen today, if today's the day I make the choice, I'm going to make the choice based on what works for me. Next slide. Charles Fillmore said this: the mind will guide you in perfect ways, even in the minute details of your life, if you will let it do so. That's why I chose the Surrender song today. And that song, the lyric in that song that I didn't quite get was, I'm still doing a hard time. Mindy will probably remember it. In the rear view mirror. In the rear view. Is it rear view? Yeah. You'll never know what you can be until you understand in the rear view, all that has hurt you is just passing by. That's the lyric. In the rear view of your life, all the things that have hurt you, all the things that have affected you, all the things that make you who you are sitting here today, they were just things passing by through your life. You're the ones, we're the ones who grabbed them, got a hold on them, and held on to them. And all we're doing at this point in life is giving ourselves the chance to let it go. That is what forgiveness is. That letting go. Letting go of all the things in the past that you may still be holding on to for some reason. And Charles Fillmore says there's something inside of you. The mind will guide you in perfect ways. So once I get you to agree to leave all of your moral certainty out here, step back into this field of infinite potential and ask yourself, what is mine to do? What is mine to receive? Who am I right now? There is a mind, a consciousness, a quantum field of pure creative energy that's there to guide you. But often we can't be guided because we're too busy out here in this moral certainty of living a life under an umbrella of somebody else's rules, somebody else's diagram of how life should be. But you know what? If I've learned anything from quantum physics, it's that we are constantly evolving, and if we don't evolve along with evolution, we're just going to be left behind, living on these old, antiquated encampments of life. But if we're willing to stay fluid and listen and hear and understand and know more and be more and have the audacity to throw away the conventions that are not working, then life really gets interesting. Next. So, taking what I asked you to look at, something that you may still be holding on to that you would have done differently. If you would have done differently, what would you have done? So, if I look at that show, I would have shown up to my first rehearsal fully ready, really knowing, really ready to jump in there and learn that piece that they were teaching me, which I sort of sloughed off, saying, oh, I'll get it. But you know what, as a director, if someone tells me I'll get it, I'm like, get it now. I want to see it now. I don't trust you're going to get it later. Because generally, when they say I'll get it, they don't. It means there's a fear there. Something's on. So I see that. I know what I would have done now. But would I, even now, still do that if I hadn't identified what the core belief was that made me feel that way, made me behave that way? And the second question is, what would I do today? So what would I have done? Okay, I know what I would have done and should have done. What would I do today? And then the question becomes this, and I hope you can feel this. Are you aware, perhaps, of a belief, of a nuance, of a core understanding that maybe is still happening today, even as you say, what would I do today? Instead of your critical thinking that everyone will answer it the same way, well, I'd do this. Would I? Or is that arrogant, and I think I can say this word on a Sunday morning, is that arrogant asshole still there? Yeah, Tiffany said it many times up here. I hate to join you in that, but sorry, Steve. Is that arrogant person still here? Well, you know what? A little bit. And I get that. And the work that I've done to get that is important work. Because I don't want that arrogant a-hole to be here. I don't want any of the remnants of that left. Would I still take all of Kevin's belongings and throw them out into the street if he dared to do something that would betray me? I'll let you decide what will happen. No, the answer is no, I wouldn't. Because truthfully, I can't be betrayed. Not truthfully. Not when I know who I am, I can't be betrayed. I'd probably have more interest in, why did this happen? And what could we learn from it? So yeah, I have a better understanding of that. But would the anger still be there? Would that petulant boy who remembered what his mother did, which I still find very fascinating. It'll make a great part of some story I write. But do I still have that? Yeah. A little high. I still have a little bit of that. I mean, there's part of me, I know Tiffany still has that part that would be fun. It would be fun to behave that way. But would it, in the long run? Would it? No. So, okay, then the last question is this. What am I doing now? And that's really the question to ask yourself. What am I doing now? Looking at your life now, how are you living your life now? Are there any rules and diagrams? Are there any modalities that you're still living by because you bought it somewhere along the line and didn't remember that in the rear view, everything that has hurt you, everything that has happened to you was just passing through. And at this point, you can let go of whatever you decide to let go of. That's what forgiveness is. Next slide. So, memory and forgiveness. All of this stuff, everything I've talked about, by the way, is my memory. All of it. Even if it happened yesterday. I have memory of the woman who would have not married her first husband. That's a memory now. In fact, this talk is a memory now up to this point. It's all memory. So when I talk about forgiveness, it's not I'm going to go way back and find something to forgive. It could be as simple as yesterday. It could be as simple as this morning. And the most forgiveness, the deepest forgiveness I want you to look at is self-forgiveness. because that's where we get really screwed up. We tend to bury those things. We behave a certain way, we do something, we don't do something, we avoid something, we ignore something, we fail at something, somebody hurts us, someone betrays us, all of these things. And we're only aware of it when the button gets pushed. But by the time the button is pushed, we don't know what to do with it. We're just now reacting to it. So this is the opportunity to go and look and find out what is still there in your memory that you're holding on to that you can forgive. And here's the thing, you can forgive it. Julio was great when he said, yeah, but how do you forgive it? This process of understanding it, and it's not about understanding it into it to weakening it. It's just getting clear about it enough. When I understood that the thing that I really did feel that my behavior was terrible when I threw all of his things away. A lot of it got ruined. That was just an impulsive young, did he deserve it? Yes. But should I have done it? Probably no. But when I look back, and I just found this out, when I look back and go, oh my God, I am my mother. That wedding where they threw everything out the window, it blew my mind. And it literally helped me forgive myself for my behavior. Bless you, Stan. And not because it was my mother's fault, but because I realized I picked up a belief, held onto it, and operated from it. But it's a belief I no longer hold, that anyone deserves to be treated like that. So that's the work. That's the excitement of it, honestly. So, in your memory, is there anything that you're still holding on to, that still has any heat whatsoever, still has any kind of movement in your life that it's time to let go of? And sometimes it's a big thing. Sometimes you realize something and it's just shocking that you're living your life from it, right? And we had that in Bod. Someone realized something that they were living their life from, and it all came barreling down. And best thing that could have ever happened, to actually see it and go, oh my God, I got to let that go. Next slide. So Joe Dispenza says a memory without the emotional charge is called wisdom. So forgiveness, it's not just about lightening your load, letting go of it, but it's about gaining wisdom about yourself and who you are and what you are. And the more you can let go of, the more you can forgive from that place of understanding who you are, it just elevates your consciousness to a place where you are living from a high level of vibration. Next slide. So, conversely to all of this, the last question in my book, do you know how great you are? I get a lot of flack for this, to be honest. I know, Liz, I have the same reaction. Liz went, what? People think it's arrogant. There are people, certainly in our world, that believe we're not supposed to know how great we are. We are supposed to spend our lives trying to attain the level of greatness in order to please our Creator. Now, even as I say that, I don't mean to disrespect it, because probably most of the world lives from that perspective. A greater portion of the world lives from that perspective. So a question like, do you know how great you are, is difficult for some people. They just don't get it. Some people have even said to me, you should change that word. Do you know how loving you are? Do you know how possible you are? Because people like the idea of being possible, not actually being great. But the possibility of greatness is a lot safer than greatness itself. So I've asked you this whole talk to look at what's come up to this point, see what's still there in order to forgive it. And now I'm asking you to recognize that once all of that's gone, make sure you also know what's left. The greatness that's there, the perfection that's there, the ability, the potentiality that's there. Next slide. C.S. Lewis said this: getting over certain experiences is much like crossing monkey bars. You have to let go at some point in order to move forward. How many of you, like me, were caught in the middle of the monkey bars and you just couldn't take one hand off. Anybody? I'm the only one that was that weak. Yeah, thank you, Sherry. Yeah, thank you, Connie. Right. You know, when you're going across and then you hold two and then you're like, and it's easy to just drop and you're done. So I loved finding this quote from C.S. Lewis because that's what this is about. Every time you let go and go there, you're lighter. You're on your way. And when you get to the end, you recognize how great you are. That's the image I want to give you. That's what this forgiveness is all about. It's like swinging from here and then I'm done with that. To here, I am done with that. To here, I am done with that. To here, and now I know who I am. And I land on my feet. That's what we get to do this month with this understanding of forgiveness. Next slide. So, what was the talk about? What if it was today? Well, there were many different versions of this within the talk. But the one I'm going to leave you with is, of course, the one that Eric said, because he's Mr. Quantum himself. It is today, right? What if it was today? It is today, and it's always today. It's never yesterday, and it's never tomorrow. It is always today. So what if today, and that goes back to whoever said it over there, you said it, I think, Diane. What did you say? Best day ever. Okay. Best day of your life. So what if today was the day, Tiffany, that you let go of all of your crap? All of it. All of it. Not pieces. I think we're doing a lot of piecemealing, don't you think? We're healing this, and then this gets bad again. And then we heal this, and this pops back up because we didn't really finish it. Yeah. But what if today was the day you actually got rid of all of it? You actually got to the end of that monkey bar and let go. You either believe it or you don't. You either believe that that can happen for you or you don't. It was funny last night after an hour and a half, we do a big talk in Palm Springs. A woman came up to me and she thanked me. She said, "Thank you, this is so good." She said, "I have so much stuff to let go of." I said, "Didn't you let go of it? We got to the last slide." I said, "The last slide said it is today. Let it go." She goes, "Yeah, I'm gonna." And just like that boy tap dancing, no, I don't want to see gonna. I want to see you do it. I want to actually see you tap dance. I actually want to see you letting go of all of it. Not piecemeal, all of it. Because you deserve that. You're equal to that. You are bigger than holding on to anything that's going to hold you back. Because you are greatness on demand. You are God more than any God you've ever been taught about. So it's time to start acting like that. Because guess what? It is today, and it will always be today. So start living it now. Namaste.